Hello, my name is Dr. Lauren Juskovich, and I'm with Michigan Sea Grant and Michigan State University Extension. Thanks for joining today in our next Fish Producers webinar, Making the Switch to Direct Marketing. And so I feel it's important to share the civil rights form for MSU Extension. We are an affirmative action equal opportunity employer. Michigan State University Extension programs and materials are open to all without regard to race, color, national origin, sex, gender identity, religion, age, height, weight, disability, political beliefs, sexual orientation, marital status, family status, or veteran status. And so as we begin this webinar, we'll establish some ground rules, give respect to each other in terms of constructive feedback or criticism, or let's have a fluid and emergent discussion, and give respect though when those are talking to not talk over them, things like that. This is an educational webinar. If you would like to network with each other afterwards for different products that or other capacities, feel free to email me afterwards and I can share your contact information. We'll first start with our guest speakers and then open it up for questions and answering. But with using Zoom, you are more than free to use the chat feature. They're involved, I believe, somewhere either on the top or bottom, depending on which Zoom entrance you used. But there is a chat, and you can feel free to answer or put in any questions at any time. Introduce yourself if you would like to do so. And so today we'll actually just jump right in with our guest speakers. We'll have some time for questions and answers, and then I'm going to also do a check-in poll to see the status of the industry. And so today I invited Amber Mae Peterson, who is from the Fishmonger's Wife, Parker Jones, the MSU Extension Product Center, who will discuss more about the resources that MSU can offer to Michigan producers, and Alex and Kelly with talking about direct marketing tools such as Taste the Local Difference and UP Food Exchange. So Amber, I'm going to stop sharing so you can go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Amber Mae Peterson, and I'm the owner-operator of the Fishmonger's Wife in Muskegon, Michigan. I have presented with Michigan Sea Grant before in January at our Fish Producers Convention, so I'm excited to revisit this topic because I am very, very passionate about direct sales. Give you a quick overview of who I am. I am married to Eric Peterson, who is a fourth generation commercial fisherman. So I had no experience in the commercial fishing world until I got married. Eric's family had been strictly wholesale fishermen up until I came along. And then I basically said, you know, I think we should be selling to our local community because really, honestly, there was not a single fish staying in Muskegon or the Lakeshore area. It was all being shipped around Michigan and out of Michigan. So I had our first baby in March of 2010, and on June 8th of 2010, I loaded up some fresh fish in the back of a truck and went to Muskegon Farmers Market, hoping for a sellout. And we were very successful at the farmers market. Our community has been wonderful, wonderful. Since then, though, I've really grown into loving commercial fishing. I am a huge advocate for our industry. And oh, hold on, what am I doing here? But today, let's really focus on what you need to do when you're doing direct sales. This presentation is geared for picking up the slack, basically, of what you're not moving on the wholesale market. Depending on your quota size, you may not be able to move your entire quota within your local community, or you might be able to. But really, this is just a matter of looking at saying, okay, how do we start to bring in more money at the end of the month? And retail sales, there is a much higher profit margin on. So, in response to COVID right now, as many of you know, the restaurants have shut down, so that market has stopped and significantly decreased. So many of us are probably going to be looking for ways to move more fish. So the first thing you always want to ask yourself is, who are you going to be selling to? What's your distribution range? Are you just going to stay within your local community, neighboring communities? Are you going to approach local restaurants? Basically do your homework and know who you're going after. When I first opened up, I actually pulled up the census information to look and see, what my area would be and who my demographic is and all those things. So that's why you fill out your census first of all, because it's helpful as a business owner. But look at your area and then do the mileage around and see how far you can safely transport your product. That's always going to be key, of course, is you have to keep it cold. Don't plan to go 5 hours away if you're not going to be able to keep everything cold. So anyway, so I'm located, let's see, our fishing boat ties up right here. My fish market is right about there, I think it is. So this was what we consider our local community areas, which is Muskegon and Orange Shores area. So, when I did my homework on this area, oops, hold on. Oh, sorry. Well, apparently that wasn't important to know about. Oh, come back. Okay, sorry about that. So when we're talking about direct sales, there are 4 avenues to go down, I feel, this time of year. I mean, right now. Community supported fisheries is the first model. This model is very, very popular on the East Coast. It was actually started by a group of graduate students at Duke University. They modeled it as part of their research project and really just developed and fleshed out a wonderful system. I've actually had a chance to go to a couple conferences with the organizers and stayed in touch with them, and really they pioneered that model. We'll go into more details about that too. Farmers markets, your local farmers markets is a good place. Of course, a brick and mortar location. There is a difference between your fish house where you process and a retail outlet. So keep that in mind that you have to have hot water and a working bathroom to do fish sales. Beyond gutting. So, and then also online shipping is where we're at moving into kind of the future. Okay, so community supported fishery, how does it work? This is sales, direct sales at its simplest. Basically, you ask somebody to purchase a share in your catch at the beginning of the year, and then that person is entitled to a percentage of your catch for the determined amount of time. So it is pretty straightforward and simple. It's modeled after the community supported agriculture model that a lot of people are very familiar with. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So here's a great resource if you want to know more about this. Walking Fish CFS was that first community supported fishery. And they have their own website. They are still very active and very involved. And they have numerous resources on their website. So if this is a model you're interested in, go for it. I would really recommend going and taking a look at them. So, from Walking Fish, this is another good resource to write down. From Walking Fish, there is a organization that developed called localcatch.org. This is the network of national small-scale community-based fisheries. I'm a member of this organization. We come together to basically work on how do you direct sale. So everything on this website and everybody that's a member, our focus is how do we efficiently sell our catch to make more money, basically, is what it's about. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is putting fuel back in the boat. So this is another great organization. Anybody that wants to be a member, you do need to be sponsored. Please contact me, and I will certainly talk to you about how to become a member and those steps. But the website and everything is free. Membership just gets you on the email list, basically. So, we do hold a biannual summit. I went to the very first one. Wonderful. It did not make the one last year in Portland, Oregon, though. So, So just as something to keep in mind, community supported fisheries may not be for you. It did not work in Muskegon, mainly because whitefish is our catch. That makes up 99% of what we do. And so I always feel like we're asking people to purchase one thing for 6 weeks or 12 weeks, and people like diversity. So first starting out, yes, that would have worked. But it would be like a farmer asking you to purchase a share in kale and then not offer any of the other kinds of kale available, just straight old green kale. So we decided not to pursue that model here. However, we went on a variation of that and we did bulk freezer sales. So what we do is going into the winter time, we do an annual sale where you can buy pre-frozen packed fillets from us for your freezer during the winter when we're not fishing. So we consider that our adapted community supported fishery. The difference is though, is people are getting all of their fish at once. We're not holding it in our freezers. We want to shut our freezers down and not pay the electric bill on that. After that, farmers market stalls. Farmers markets are very popular, of course. Pretty much every community has one. This is a great resource to go to if you have one in your area. We have the second largest farmers market in Muskegon in the state, so huge participation. This is where I got my start for sure. Without the Muskegon Farmers Market, I would not be in business right now. However, oops, go back there. I need to make a disclaimer now that I've promoted farmers market. Michigan Farmers Market Association has made a statewide recommendation to all farmers market about COVID-19 guidelines while you're participating at the farmers market. Okay, so if you are looking at going to a farmers market, you need to check with that farmers market to see what they're doing. They can be more stringent and they don't have to adopt the Farmers Market Association's guidelines, but most of them are. And then become familiar with what those guidelines are. To be honest, I have found that if you are someone who is already mindful in sanitation and you're already following your HACCP plan and you're already doing your sanitation rounds and things like that, you should be really quite fine with this, with the exception being a face mask. That is something new that we haven't seen before. The biggest change that's happening from my market here in Muskegon is on a busy Saturday in July, we can see 10,000 people. And our problem is that we have two sections of the market and we have a limited amount of people that can be in the market at a time. So my section's limited to 100 people at a time in the market. So we have already divided the farmers market in half, so that all traffic is one-way directional. Every farmer vendor is required to have sanitizer at their station. Customers are not supposed to be touching our product. We're supposed to be serving them. Customers are supposed to be wearing face masks. There's only one entrance into the market. There's only one exit. We do have active counters going on, and this is all in those guidelines produced by the Farmers Market Association. So for this year, I am not going to the Muskegon market. I have two other smaller markets we're going to go to, but for this year, we're not going to go to the Muskegon market, mainly because of congestion reasons. Like, we have people that shop at our stall and we can be blocked up and interrupt the flow of the market. And with just 100 people, like, we've got some concerns about how that's going to work. So just so you know, check with your market though, see what their plan is, see what they're doing, all those good things. So okay, and then of course the other thing is that you have a brick and mortar. I mean, it's very possible you're already processing fish, and all you need is the refrigerator, and you can start selling fillets as long as you meet all those other guidelines and things. When I started my brick and mortar, literally we had one showcase and a freezer that was pulled out of my dad's an appliance repairman, and he had an old freezer that I could use, and that's what all of our frozen product was in. Okay, so it doesn't have to be crazy fancy. Simple is fine. You know, it is what it is. You're getting started. So, but that's the other form of direct sales, is when people start coming to you, which they will. In Michigan, you know, a commercial fisherman owned fish market is a big deal. People will travel to see you. Right now, during the COVID pandemic, we have been exceptionally busy. We are having a hard time keeping up, you know, even. So just anybody that's worried that you're not going to have sales, as soon as people know you're open for business, they are going to definitely be at your place. So that's just another shot of our building. For anyone that's interested, this back half right here is actually where we do the fish processing. The front half is the retail fish market. So, and that's my second daughter, who I found out I was pregnant with as we were signing the papers to buy this property. Yeah, that was fun. I know. Okay, so being open for business. Okay, how do people know that you are open for business? Seriously, hand painted signs are awesome. Really, they are. I don't do a whole lot of them anymore because they can be time consuming, and I'm too much of a perfectionist. So I assign it out to somebody else, or I send it to the UPS store to be printed. But starting out, oh yeah, those hand painted signs, definitely. A big old open sign is always good. So, you know, your regular signage, that's always important. And then social media, it's the love hate right now. You know, there's all kinds of ways to be out there getting the word out that you have product. You know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, email, webpage. It just keeps on going. You cannot keep up with it. You know, some of the pros are it's free. Your time, I mean, I value my time, so I don't consider it all that free anymore. When I was starting out, it was great, but now that I want to have a personal life, it's not so free to me anymore. But it is popular, and that's where we're at. I mean, you know, people go to these resources. The biggest con, though, is you do need to be active on it for it to work best. The platforms are for social. That means you're interacting. Okay. And my problem with social media is that you can have 1,000 likes in one purchase, versus I would really rather have 10 likes and 6 purchases, right? So when you are looking at being on Facebook or Instagram, don't get so caught up in people liking and responding to your post. I mean, everybody likes the funny memes and the jokes and things. Does that bring you in the money? I mean, you know, and you'll read all these side articles that talk to you about analyticals and all these things. You need to have likes in order for more posts to show up. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there is some stuff on that, but the thing to keep in mind too is that's constantly changing. So unless you're going to make a significant portion of your week dedicated to staying up to date with that, I mean, it may not be the best use of your time. So what I like to do when I make a post is I make sure that every post sends someone to making a purchase or a call to action. Okay, so here's one of my more popular posts that happened back in November. I teach classes during our non-fish processing month. You know, and right there it is, like, oh, go here and buy your tickets. And that in turn takes you to my website where you can buy the tickets. So always be thinking whenever you're making a post, what's the point of my post? And how do I get people to commit to that purchase or commit to coming to the farmer's market? So just a couple of quick tips. Be honest, don't be fake, be yourself, be candid. You know, that's my strength. So maybe it's not your strength. Find someone who it is their strength that's part of your family or team. My husband, he's not a good one to be doing the Facebook posting. No. But like I said, if I had one thing to tell you, always direct people in your post to do something. What is it you want them to do? Come to the farmer's market. Pre-order your whitefish now, those kinds of things. Oh, and this is my favorite one. The more miserable you are, the more people like it. So this is one of my favorite top posts. It's freezing cold. I'm on the boat. I'm rarely on the boat. Really, I'm not. That's Eric's thing. But when I do and I post it, everybody loves it. Everybody loves a boat picture of Eric, like holding fish and looking, miserable and cold. And if it's snowing while they're setting nets, oh boy. I mean, but be real, show people what you're doing for them. So, and here in Michigan, that really is, a unique part of what we have and do that most people don't realize we have commercial fishery. So, my little soapbox is, I don't love Facebook as much as I love my email list. When my sales are down, I know specifically it's because my email list has not been sent to. I will take my email list over Facebook every day of the week when I want to make sales. So but that's because Facebook, you're shouting into the wind, waiting for people to catch what you're saying, versus email. They have said they want to hear from you, so it's going to them direct. So, yeah. Not quite sure what that slide is about, so we're just going to skip it. Okay, helpful resources. So these are just some of the ones that I use every day in getting the word out in my direct marketing. MailChimp, I use Constant Contact, but MailChimp is a good one too. I use that for some other work that I have that I do. Localpetch.org is a great one. Canva is a wonderful, wonderful resource for doing pictures and things like that. And something I do want to show you real quick, and then I know I have to get off because other people want to talk too. When I talk about the Google Slides, before we had, don't mind my staff doing their jobs and you finding out about it. So, hi, would you like to meet my father-in-law? Hi, Bill, I'm on a conference call with 50 people.
No, I don't want to.
This is real life, guys. Working from home, isn't it great? So before we got a website, I do have a website with an online store now where you can order, pay, and ship. But before I did that, I used Google Forms exclusively. And so I just kind of want to show you real quick what I would do. I would create a Google form. Then I would send the link in my email or on Facebook to my customers. They go through and they fill it out. They tell me what day they're going to pick it up, time, pickup location, throw in some nice graphics I created in Canva. It took me all of 10 minutes to do that. Not even that long, probably. Here's descriptions of all my products, what they're going to order, the price. Scroll down. We had a lot to offer that week. Okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. And then at the bottom, they submit that form. This is why this form is so great for you, is that customer's order now pops up over here in this spreadsheet. So all the orders are organized and ready to go. We used this system for 3 years. Okay. And for the fish market, we kind of got complicated where, I trained the upfront people to copy and paste it from this spreadsheet, put it here, blah, blah, blah. You can get really detailed if you want to know more about that. Lauren can give you my contact info, but this will help you a lot to organize your orders though. And that is going to be really key to direct sales, is you don't want to lose sales because you weren't organized. Nothing makes a customer madder than losing you not having their order ready to go. So, all right. So, showed you that real quick. Oh, and then real quick, for COVID response, I know that right now we're all kind of living in this alternate universe. These are just some of them, my go-to websites. So the FDA page has been really helpful. The Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce, that is my chamber. They have been outstanding for the last 3 months. Like the amount of resources that they have put together and videos and everything. I mean, it's phenomenal. I've not seen another chamber. So, and it's all open. This is one of the things that the chamber is offering up to anybody. You don't have to be a member to visit this webpage. I think there's a couple of like things that maybe you have to be, but for the most part, definitely take advantage of that. And there's some good information on there about restaurants reopening. So if you are looking at going to a restaurant to sell or are currently selling, there's some good insight about what they're experiencing, excuse me. I think that's it. All right.
Great. Thank you, Amber.
Yeah.
Next up is Parker Jones with MSU Product Center.
Great, thank you. Yeah, my name is Parker Jones. I work for the MSU Product Center. We have a lot of expertise on campus on food business development and food science and food processing. And then we have field-based food business counselors across the state. So myself, I covered the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And just one more note that all the programming that we do is open to all. So the need that has been described to me is that many fisher folk are selling through wholesale channels, and because of COVID-19, these channels have been severely disrupted because restaurants are closed and institutions are closed. So in pivoting to direct-to-consumer to some extent, it's important to acknowledge the differences between these two sales channels. Wholesale is unique in that it's mostly production focused. There are people between you and the final customer. So these are wholesalers, these are retailers, these are restaurants who are absorbing your commodity at a relatively fixed price. You're selling into a large market. And so you can push as much of your products as you can in order to break even and then make a profit. This is a little bit different from direct to consumer, where instead of having all these people between you and the customer who, like wholesalers, add value, you are selling, as the name says, direct to consumer. So because of that, you're able to capture a higher unit price because you are adding that value that other people in the value chain were adding before. And so the main piece of value that you're adding is marketing. So you're selling into a niche market. So instead of everyone, who wants fish buying your product at a commodity price, now you're selling within a distinct geographic area, and you're having to market what your product is specifically and why customers should purchase it. Because someone who's going to purchase fish directly from the farmer's market or at the wharf, whoever it may be, at a higher price point, is not necessarily the person that you were selling to before through wholesale channels at that price. So with direct to consumer, you need to think about who your customer is and how to educate them about your products so that they're willing to pay that price. So with COVID-19, it's especially pertinent to be looking at these different sales channels because there is such disruption in wholesale. But it is important to note that going forward, there is a lot of value in selling through multiple channels by themselves because these channels change based on different variables. Maybe restaurant sales are up for a reason. Maybe your region's doing well economically, so direct consumer is doing well. Wholesale prices change. If you're selling across multiple channels, then your business is less responsive to these market changes. So there's a maxim in the business world that 80% of your sales come from 20% of your customers. So before it was these middlemen who were doing the marketing and deciding who this target customer was. But now with your business and positioning your product and educating your customers in marketing, it's important to understand who is most likely to purchase your product consistently and at a high scale. So that's one thing that's great about direct-to-consumer selling. If you haven't sold at a farmer's market direct-to-consumer before, then you might not know specifically who that target customer is, but it's important to put that thought into it ahead of time so that you can tailor your product and your marketing to this group and you can reach them where they want to be reached. So this will be a learning process, but thinking of this ideal customer who's going to show up to the farmer's market, drive out to your production area, purchase your product for one reason or another. There's 4 ways that you can communicate with them through marketing. There's products, place, price, and promotion. So these are all things that send marketing signals and educate your customer about your products. So when we think about marketing, we think about TV ads and radio and Facebook and flyers and leaflets, and these things are marketing, but it's not all of marketing. There's a lot of other important work that needs to be done. So if you think about your product itself, it's important to look at, for example, the packaging that it's in, which we'll talk about more, the unit sizing your product is, what product attributes do you have? Is your product natural or is it non-GMO? You know, what is the physical thing that you're selling? And what about the physical thing that you're selling? Is this ideal customer going to be animated by? You also need to think about the place where you're selling. If you think of, let's say, a generic fish stick that is sold at Whole Foods via, let's say, Walmart, even if it's the exact same fish stick, we're going to put more value on that fish stick, which is sold in Whole Foods because of the place that it is sold. So you can think about who your customer is, where they go, what your brand is, and which place is going to best complement what your production is. So maybe that's a certain farmer's market in your area. Maybe that's connecting people with where you produce your products, you know, near the fishery at a farm stand. People tend to overfixate on price, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but there is only so much money in the world. And a product that is priced high signals that it has a lot of value and is for a certain type of person. And then products that are priced low signal more availability and that this product is for a different type of person. So this is one of the variables that you should look at. And of course, promotion is really important, going through all the channels that you can and educating your customers who didn't know that that fishery on the corner is now selling direct to people like them, letting them know what you're selling and why you should purchase. So this is the last vaguely esoteric slide that I'm going to have, but this visioning process is really important when you're selling direct to consumer. So the reason that a customer purchases your product is because it is high value. So something like a Mercedes-Benz car has high value on one end, being high price, and then something like a McDonald's hamburger has high value to some people. So value is a function of the benefits that your product has that you tell your customer about. So looking at the type of product you have, the type of packaging that you have, looking at where it is sold, looking at the different promotion you have, you yourself, your story, taste, let's say, you know, form of the product, are you doing anything value added? And then looking at all these things the customer gets in relation to price. So the reason I bring this up is because those who start selling direct to consumer, they tend to put a lot of emphasis on price, and it is very important, but it's not the only variable that you need to think about. You're not necessarily competing directly with the type of person who's going to go into Walmart and buy the cheapest fish products. You have a really unique value premise based on being a local fisher folk with a story and a unique product. But as you're going about selling direct to consumer, price is important. You know, people are price flexible only to a certain extent. So one thing to think about. So this is actually my coworker based in Detroit. Before she joined us at the MSU Product Center, she herself was an entrepreneur. What I want to talk about with this slide is that you are your marketing. The reason that someone goes to a farmer's market to buy a more expensive niche product is because they get that personal interaction. They trust the product a lot more. People are concerned about where food comes from, and there's a lot more character that is added to your product that you don't get in a grocery store. So keep in mind that every interaction you have with your customer is a really important part of marketing, and think about what your story is, what your connection is, what questions that customer is going to have, and try and think through what those interactions could be. So it's important that as you go direct to consumer, you think about what the customer needs and how your product is fulfilling that need. But you also need to acknowledge that you're selling in a competitive marketplace. So you need to think about product differentiation and what makes your product unique. Because if someone's going to the farmer's market to buy a fish product and there's multiple fish products, they are going to be thinking in a competitive sense. So when we're looking at that first P of marketing, products, it's important to think about what makes you unique compared to other similar sellers. So part of this, you can look at ingredients, or you can think about product attributes. So sustainability, connection to the product, is it non-GMO? Can you claim that it is natural? These different claims that you can make about your product that animate people, it's important that you look at that in a competitive sense. Also look at the product sizing. So you may be selling to different types of people. If you're selling to a large family who's trying to efficiently, purchase products, they don't want to be out because of COVID-19. They want to get a lot of food and come back. Maybe you have a larger size. If your customer doesn't eat fish very often, perhaps you have a smaller packaging size so that they're not intimidated by purchasing the products. And then I will talk more about packaging because I love it. You need to think about packaging as well. For most food products, you don't actually get to see the actual food or taste the actual food before you purchase. The only metrics that you purchase a product for the first time is the packaging, which you put in your hands and you decide, is this high quality or low quality, and the label. So you need to think about what your packaging is, and if that signals high value, which you need to do as a niche value-added direct-to-consumer food seller, or if it signals low value, less professionalism. So just being conscientious about that. This may be my absolute favorite slide I've ever had, so I'll move quickly so we can move on to the next speaker. But keep in mind that packaging sends a lot of signals to your customer. So quick example, here we have Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms has a lot of really bright colors. It's almost distracting how bright these colors are. You can see that there's a certain pizzazz, it really grabs you. And this is because it signals lightness, festivity, and joy, because Lucky Charms sell to children. So children want to have, this type of product that signals something that they care about. So if you're looking at having your target customer be a family, for example, that's stuck inside during COVID-19, wants to get their kids out, doing engaging activities, having fun, maybe you can signal the attributes that your product has being sold directly at the wharf or something like that. A different type of customer might respond to darker, rich colors, for example. A lot of people have been stuck inside, haven't been able to go to restaurants, haven't been able to eat the food that they want to eat, miss that experience of the premier food. So what you could perhaps do is you can position your product, market your products as really high quality, what they got in the restaurants, nice experience, but able to be consumed in the safety of their own home. Green, a lot of people are buying through different sales channels like Amazon, for example, which doesn't have the best metrics on being environmentally friendly or socially friendly either. So perhaps that is part of your marketing. You sell online, but yours is a green, healthy for you, healthy for the environment, holistically good for you products. One last one, I think we may have time for. If you look at this lean cuisine over here on the right, you see that it has a lot of light and white colors. So this signals that something is good for you, healthy, thinking of dieting. And as someone who's been working from home and has had access to snacks more than I usually do, I think there's a very strong marketing argument that could be made that your product is good for you. It will help you be healthy in the way that you care about. Thinking of the great, health product attributes that fish has compared to other different types of meat. So you all will be selling through different places, but I do just want to highlight these couple examples here. Keep in mind that wherever you sell, you're creating an experience for your customer, you're creating a space, and every inch of that space can be used to communicate why the customer should be going out of the way to go to your farmer's market stand or going away from a place like Amazon to go to your online profile. So use that space to communicate what makes you unique, your connection to this product, your company history, great product attributes, whatever you can, using all the space you have. So a few quick examples. Over here on the left, we have this vertical break. You all can try this at home. It's actually more difficult to look up and down than it is to look left and right because of how our muscles are built. So that's why it's really important if you're selling at a farmer's market to introduce some of these vertical breaks, because consumers spend very little time considering whether they should try something new or stick to the old. So if you do a vertical breaks, it's a great way of getting the customer to be enticed to your stand because they'll be looking at it. Another example here on the right, we have some color blocking with the flowers, which is a great way to get people's attention. And then also look at how they have built out into the foreground, into this 3D space, their presence. So it's an easy way to draw customers in. So just a couple examples here, but thinking about how your stand can be approachable. You don't want to just be at a table, with a freezer full of fish, and then you wrap it in paper and give it to them and you're gruff. You need to really think about the marketing and the experiences that you have with your customers so that you can retain that customer and keep them coming back. Direct to consumer is all about establishing individual relationships. So these are a couple ways to do that. Quick note, the MSU Product Center, we have a lot of expertise in food and agricultural business development, helping people launch products and businesses. Myself, I'm based in the Upper Peninsula. I'd love to work individually with anyone who may be in that area, but we have 9 people based below the bridge who can also partner with you to work one-on-one on the things I talked about. So hopefully I didn't go too far over. I'll just answer questions at the end if there are any.
Thank you, Parker. I really like that you termed it as an experience. I think that's very good language. And so we'll turn it over with Consumer Food Hubs with Alex and Kelly.
Hey everybody, well, Alex is pulling off the presentation. I'll introduce myself. I'm Kelly Wilson. I'm the Director of Community Partners with Taste Local Difference. And for those of you who aren't familiar with our organization, we focus on educating consumers about the value of local food across Michigan. So we specifically focus on Michigan food businesses in kind of every sector of the food system. And then we help local food businesses connect to one another through business-to-business services, marketing services. Right now, we're focused a lot on online sales support due to the COVID crisis and a lot of folks shifting to selling food online. So we've been working with farms and farmers markets around the state to do that. And then we manage a database, which I'll have Alex click through to show you in a little bit, that is a really great tool for connecting consumers to your products, but also connecting to businesses around the state of Michigan. So as you can see on the slide there, if you want to click, yeah, thanks, Alex. We do a couple different things. This database, what I was mentioning here, is searchable by business type. It's also searchable by location and product type. And we'll be working with the Sea Grant this year, which I'm super excited about, to have a very special category right at the top that has a fish icon. So it's specifically calling out fish producers who are interested in direct to consumer sales. And I think Alex just pulled up some of the fish producers that we have listed on the website currently. And right now it's free for folks. If you want to go ahead and create a listing before we have that fish producers icon up and running, you are more than welcome to do that. You can add all your contact information. You'd be listed under the farms category section. You can include photos, product descriptions, the types of products that you're offering to folks. Yeah, thanks for clicking on that. So that's an example that Alex just pulled up of what a listing. Oh, do you want to go back?
Yeah, sorry. I'm
No,
getting
it's
ahead
okay.
of myself. Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit too on what you're saying, Kelly. So in the past, we haven't had a specific spot for fisheries, and we're kind of, you'll see that I've bounced between farms and specialty producers, and used the keyword fish to kind of find the fish producers we have in our database. But yeah, going on the listing, oh, here's a great example. Well, this is a trout farm. It's a little different, but anyway, a brook trout. But you can see you can list your website and things as well. And I was having a hard time finding a fishery that we've had connected with an online sales platform. So I'm going to take a moment and show, let's actually do a farm in Alger. So one of the other opportunities, so we're using a farm here, but we also have this shop online button, which if you have a fishery and you add yourself to this list, you can be brought right to, consumers can be brought right to your store. So just another thing to point out.
So the database is a really great resource for, I think, a lot of what Amber was talking about, just connecting consumers to direct opportunities to purchase your products. If you have an online store, if you have a Google form, you can link it in there and connect people directly back to your website and to your resources. And it's another digital touch point that gets your name out there in the digital sphere. So if folks are searching for local fish, it's another hit that you get in your area. And so Alex clicked back to a slide with some other things that we offer. We do publish every year a local food guide. So that is a magazine style directory that basically takes our database and puts it into regional directories. It's really pretty. It's got great design. It's fun to flip through and look at. There's stories about local food around the state in there as well. And just another tool for consumers to connect to folks. And then we also manage a blog and monthly newsletter that's a storytelling tool. So it's another marketing tool for you to, as Parker was talking about, people really like that connection to you as a person. They want to know your story and kind of the why behind your business. So we manage that blog to help lift up the stories of local producers around the state of Michigan so consumers can connect to that why and better understand where their food is coming from. And like I said before, we kind of work with every sector of the food system. So we're really well positioned to help facilitate connections between a producer and a retail space, producers and consumers, producers and restaurants, kind of every piece of that puzzle. And you are more than welcome if you have questions about any of what I just discussed, you're looking to connect to other businesses, you're welcome to reach out to me. My email's there on the slide, just kelly@localdifference.org, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. But I'm going to turn it over to Alex now, who is my colleague based in the UP, and she has a really unique UP-based opportunity that I'm pretty excited about.
Yes, thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you for being with me to present today. I know you have to hop off to a 4 o'clock meeting, we said your contact information was there if anyone has questions. So now, I have two positions in the Upper Peninsula. My name is Alex Pelzowitz, and I am both the Upper Peninsula Local Food Coordinator for Taste the Local Difference and work with Kelly. And I'm also the Market Manager for the Upper Peninsula Food Exchange online marketplace, and actually get an opportunity to work with Parker on that board, which is a great experience. And so kind of when I talk about the UP Food Exchange, half of it is a group of individuals who are working together for food policy or to help move forward the local food system. But the other part, I feel like, is the actual online hub itself, which I'm going to talk about today. So the UP Food Exchange, UPFE, is a food hub for local producers and purchasers in the Upper Peninsula region. That food hub description in some regions of the UP is physical. So in the central UP, we have a physical hub, an aggregation center, if you would, and that is located in the basement of the Marquette Food Co-op, and that's where I operate as the market manager. But that being said, it is available to all producers in the Upper Peninsula, and although there is no necessary physical hubs, that's where the aggregation comes in. So part of what I do is that matchmaker of, you're a fish producer, okay, what purchasers are in the area are you willing to deliver? So going back to almost the same relationship building that is in direct to consumer, even in a wholesale relationship, there's also that relationship building, and what UPFE offers is assistance in that. So UPFE simplifies wholesale sourcing of high quality local food products. We offer, again, that product aggregation. Part of what I do then is, of course, payment processing. So if I was a purchaser on the site purchasing your fish, I would be able to purchase your fish as well as other items on the site and pay one bill. And then you, as a seller, would get, if multiple people bought from you, would get one cumulative check at the end of like a period of all the purchases. Now we're in the beginning stages. Obviously, COVID-19 has affected our relationships that we were hoping to have early in the spring with local restaurants and retailers. But it's interesting now, I'm actually seeing more of a heightened increase. So not just the same folks as they're entering back into maybe serving takeout and things. Not only are those restaurants still interested, but I've been hearing from other folks who are interested in local as well. Also with the UP Food Exchange, we offer marketing support. There's a newsletter, we have a Facebook and an Instagram. I'm here for customer service. The nice thing I think about it is I'm the in-between. So if you have a problem, you can connect with me, and it's a little bit of, as long as it's something I can assist with, it's my job to help with those situations. And then just a reminder that it's free for all producers to participate in the food exchange right now, particularly fish producers. So I want to take a moment to show you what the UP Food Exchange website looks like. So here you can see, I'm kind of highlighting the URL in case you want to check it out. But here's the homepage. It explains some of the current offerings, a little bit more about the food exchange. Here you'll see, if I was a customer, this is my product list. I'm not actually signed in, so I'm not going to see prices right now. But if I was signed in as a customer, I would see prices. And right now we've got veggies, but we're going to scroll down. And so like one of our newest producers, we do have whitefish, Ruler Brothers Whitefish available, and we have their first purchase. So that's one option, and is that wholesale market. And then we've talked a lot about farmers market. So I want to also mention, Ruler Brothers Whitefish is an example of someone who sells wholesale, but then they have a son. It kind of reminds me of the first presentation of the Petersons. This is a son who wants to see more of their fish getting to the local area. So Bob, who's the youngest generation of quite a few generation fishery, sells it at the farmer's market. And so now it's actually, as you can see, is available online. He sells his fresh whitefish, his smoked fillets, and his whitefish pate online at the Marquette Farmers Market. So, if you have any questions about those options in Michigan, I want to preface, obviously we are specific to Michigan, the UP Food Exchange. There's some opportunity to work with bordering counties, which we can would take on a base by base. But so here, going back to my presentation, just a reminder of this website for the UP Food Exchange. Attached also is my contact information. And then just also just wanted to say fish is one of my favorite things. My family also did some fishing. We don't have anyone working in the fisheries anymore, but I am very excited about this opportunity to work with Michigan Sea Grant and to help support folks. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the markets I talked about. And thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Alex and Kelly. If you could stop sharing,
Yeah,
Alex.
there we go.
Thank you. And then I'll share my screen one more time. Thank you guys so much I know I learned, I keep learning too. We do want your feedback. If you can please answer the survey to tell us how we did and who we're reaching, that would be awesome. This would also be in our follow-up email. And so with the last 2 minutes of time, I just kind of want to summarize what we've done in 1 month. So we hosted a listening session on April 29th that invited Michigan fish producers. And the main themes and concerns that came out was sanitation with COVID. So we hosted a webinar on the 15th, and there is a recording of that if you would like to find out more. Keep note that while policies are still changing and executive orders are being lifted and stationed and then lifted again, keep in mind that these do change, so go to the state for your most up-to-date policies, but I think the general guidelines so far have stayed basically the same. Another theme was making the switch to direct marketing. So, I'm holding fish. What can I do with them in the meantime? And so I'm hearing from industry and available resources and ways you could move forward, and that, we are here to help, to help you helps with this as well. And then the third was the constantly changing regulations and policies. And this still will have a question mark next to it in terms of when that will happen, a webinar on that. Michigan's currently in stage 4. I was guided to maybe in stage 5, we will hold something like this and so keep a lookout for that. And so because of that, I wanted to do another check-in, kind of like the first listening session. And so during that first listening session, I asked you, what are the major challenges facing your business or the businesses you work with due to COVID? What are some strategies that your businesses or communities have begun implementing in revision? And what do you need to be successful? Specifically, what do you need to be successful in the next 2 to 3 months? What are some of your major challenges that you are still facing? Charles, you put selling fish and trucking. I guess if I can if you can elaborate on trucking, is it moving fish or the logistics of moving fish?
Yeah, it's the logistics of moving fish. We've had some trucking challenges that existed before the pandemic. So.
Okay. What specifically?
Well, we've had a common carrier that's come through for 30 or 40 years, and now some of the buyers they want to truck their own fish, but they do not, and they need volume to do that, but they don't want to buy in volume. So interesting little conundrum.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So I see that safety is becoming bigger. Would anybody like to elaborate on safety?
I think the biggest challenge I'm having regarding to safety right now, I never shut down. I went to limited days, but we kept processing and servicing. The biggest challenge that we're facing is consumer perception of what safety is and what the actual recommendations and guidelines are. I mean, we're seeing everything from full hazmat suits to, no shirts, no shoes, no service. I mean, so it's that education of what is the actual recommendation and guideline with your staff too. Like, that's important because, Facebook has got a lot of info out there right now.
I'll say as one brief note talking about this safety aspect is when there's safety concerns in the air, that's really going to impact how many people are going to be coming into the farmers market, for example. So as long as that uncertainty is there, it's hard to get the volume through some of these different sales channels when people don't want to leave their homes.
Thank you, Parker. Yeah, I agree. Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. I know we went a little over on time, but I thought it was a lot of great information from our speakers. So thank you again, Amber, Parker, Alex, and Kelly for joining us. But thank you again so much for all your help, and let me know if there's anything that you need. Thank you and have a great day.